Welcome to this deep dive. We've gone through a pile of recent sources, and we're here to pull out the key insights for you.
Yeah, and today we're looking at the crypto scene, sort of a snapshot for June 2025.
Exactly. Everything from, regulators making moves, market swings, project news.
And even what some big companies are saying, it's quite a mix.
Our goal really is just to cut through that noise and highlight what you really need to know from all this material.
Makes sense. Where should we start?
Well, let's kick off with something pretty concrete, right? From a CoinMarketCap article headline. The DOJ seizing $7.74 million in crypto.
Hmm. And the context there is important.
Right. It's tied to a North Korean scheme, a state-sponsored hacking group, apparently.
Yeah, that $7.74 million, it's a clear signal, isn't it? It shows how law enforcement is getting, well, much better at this kind of digital asset tracing.
And recovery, even across borders.
Exactly. Blockchain analysis is really maturing. Borders don't quite block investigations like they perhaps used to.
Okay, so shifting from enforcement to the actual markets, the sources show some interesting stuff happening this month.
Definitely.
Like there's specific attention on Ripple's XRP. One source really highlights its price volatility.
Yeah, and it's not just random movement. They're pointing to specific technical levels analysts are watching.
Oh, like what?
Well, resistance around 55 cents, 75 cents. The thinking is, if it breaks that level, maybe it heads towards 70 cents.
And if it doesn't?
Then it might drop back, retest support, maybe closer to 45 cents. So yeah, specific chart stuff is still key for XRP.
Right, right. Okay, speaking of market action, another source brought up a, let's say, high-risk situation. James Wynn opening a Bitcoin position with 40x leverage.
Whoa, 40x. Yeah, that's huge. And that's why it's being discussed, the source notes.
Because of the potential gains.
Partly, but also the massive risk, the liquidation risk, I mean. And what happens if a big position like that gets wiped out? Could cause ripples.
Definitely puts a spotlight on that more speculative side of things.
For sure.
And behind all this, you always have those external factors, right? One source is really focused on the upcoming US CPI data.
Yes, the consumer price index. Always important.
Why specifically now, according to the source?
Because, well, inflation data feeds directly into what the Federal Reserve might do with interest rates.
Okay.
So if CPI comes in hotter than expected, it could reinforce that higher for longer rates idea.
Which would likely be bad for crypto prices.
Generally, yeah. The source suggests it could dampen risk appetite across the board, hitting assets like crypto.
Got it. Okay, let's move beyond prices. Company news, too. Tether CEO, Paolo Arduino, made some comments on June 7th.
Right. He said Tether has no plans to go public.
And he added something about valuation, didn't he? Describing a hypothetical $515 billion valuation as, what was it?
A bit bearish.
A bit bearish. Okay, that's quite confident.
It is. Signals real confidence in their current private setup, maybe pushing back against competitor IPO talk and suggesting they see their own value much higher.
Interesting contrast. Then we've got news on specific projects. SUI, for example. Sentiment seems mixed for its 2026 price outlook.
Yeah, and the source links that directly to a hack fallout.
So past security issues are still casting a shadow.
It seems so. That fallout clearly hasn't been completely forgotten, according to this source. It's affecting how people view its longer-term potential, even looking out to 2026.
A reminder that project-specific events really matter.
Okay, lastly, the sources did mention some altcoins gaining traction right now in June 2025.
They named BlockDAG, Cosmos, Aptos, and Ave.
And why them specifically?
The sources point to their ongoing development work and expanding ecosystems. So they're actively building, attracting users, integrating.
Which is seen as a driver for growth in the altcoin space.
That's the idea presented, yes.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. In this deep dive, we've touched on quite a bit. The DOJ seizure showing regulatory teeth.
Market speculation with XRP volatility and that high leverage Bitcoin play.
The macro influence, like that upcoming CPI data. The strategic comments from Tether CEO.
Project-specific issues, like with SUI and the hack fallout.
And finally, a look at altcoins like BlockDAG, Cosmos, Aptos, and Aave, highlighted for their development.
It really gives you quite a varied picture of all the forces shaping crypto right now in June 2025.
Absolutely. It's a complex mix, external pressures, internal market stuff, and the actual tech development happening.
So thinking about all these different pieces we've just discussed, the enforcement, the market bets, the big economic data, company stances, specific project stories, It kind of leads to a bigger question for you listening.
Hmm.
How do all these different elements, maybe even pulling in different directions sometimes, utterly come together to shape your own confidence or maybe lack of confidence and the overall pace of innovation in crypto right now? That's something worth pondering based on what these sources are showing us.